Austin, in our time away, I have added something very important to my recording setup. So I got this remote, and what it does is when I press it, right? It beeps a little bit, and then I start walking. I can do the podcast as a walk and talk. And I, might not mean much for the people who are the audio listeners until I start to get winded because I realize that I can't walk and talk to you for about an hour. But the video people, they can really see me get a workout mid-podcast.
So what is this? You have like some treadmill thing underneath your desk?
I got a desk treadmill, and it is, I thought it was going to be a fun idea, and I think in reality I was just like stoned on Prime Day, and I was like, $200 off a desk, it's only $100. I would love to walk and work, and I haven't quite found the rhythm yet. I was in a meeting earlier today.
Incredibly inconvenient.
And I started like getting winded mid-conversation because I was walking too fast. And then I had to explain to people. I had to turn my camera on and explain to people. So, maybe not a podcast feature, but if I feel the need to get the exercise and I can really get the blood pumping, because oh boy, is there blood to pump and stuff to talk about. It's been a minute. We've both been truly all over the world in the last month. You haven't been home in weeks?
2 months.
2 months? I mean, that's 8 weeks ish.
Yeah.
Shit, dude.
Yeah. It's been a long haul. I think that's probably one of my longest trips for esports anyway.
What were you most happy about to get back? Was it your own toilet? Did you like sit down to take a shit and just like ecstasy? You're like, yes, my bathroom.
No, but usually I don't have a bidet, but I have had a bidet for both Bali and Riyadh. So, that's value. Sweden, I didn't.
I know what your Christmas gift is. It's
Well, I already have a bidet.
Oh.
I'm saying when I get back, that's usually like, I have a bidet again. That's nice.
Okay. Yeah. A man truly of culture. It's at what point in 2 months did you start to go, I really want to be home? Was it like a week, or did you make it a full month?
It was probably like after Bali, so probably by like the start of Riyadh, I was pretty like, all right, I'm pretty done. I think 8 weeks is a really long time. And it's a lot of work in a row. And as much as I like my job, I think probably need some break time.
I don't think I've listened to you cast as much Dota personally as I have in the last month, as I have like in the last like years combined. Because normally it's like, especially with the DPC, it's like, you've been like doing Southeast Asia or something. I'm not watching that much of it, or like, you're like here at an event, but there's like a bunch of casting pairs. It feels like at both Bali and Riyadh specifically, there weren't a lot of casting combinations, so you were just doing a lot of work. And then on my end, I was watching most of all those events, which is a little abnormal for me too.
Yeah, it was. There was only 2 casting pairs for all the events that I worked, right? Dream League, 2 casting pairs. Bali, mostly 2 casting pairs, especially with the production issues that were going on. So Richie wasn't able to cast as much. And then Riyadh was 2 casting pairs. So yeah, I was literally doing like half of the tournaments.
It seems like there was less personnel at those events too. Like there was long days at Bali, there was long days at Riyadh. Shiver and Tsunami, I think, got the rough end of more than a few situations over the last couple of months. But I guess they did it with the amount of people, and it was like effective cost savings. But it felt a little bit like old esports. There were some 12-hour shifts I saw getting passed around.
Yeah, I think it's probably a bit of a cost-cutting measure. I mean, in general, I think it's like relatively standard to just have days be cut in half, and have 2 shifts. But I think that's probably how we're gonna keep moving forward in esports. So I think it'll probably stay like 2 casting pairs, 2 or 3, for most events, to be honest.
Which means potentially less work to go around if you're not, those lucky few.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, it's like, why would you hire more casting pairs? It's pretty reasonable to ask people to do 2 best of 3s a day, I think.
I think so.
And then there's days where you have a lot of playoff days, especially for certain majors, are 3 best of 3 days. So then that's okay. You're doing 1 best of 3 and then 2 best of 3 and then 1 best of 3 back and forth. That is very reasonable. So when you hire the extra talent, it's just kind of like, maybe you're hiring them for group stage, or if you have other casting pairs, then you probably need them to be able to be on panel and stuff, which is usually what used to happen. Mm-hmm. I also think that magically, I don't know what's happened. Well, I kind of know what's happened. Their
what's
production. Okay, so tournament organizers have stopped hiring people randomly and have started hiring with an actual game plan in mind, because there was this long period of time where esports where it was just like, all right, we'll take you panel. Oh well, we've hired 4 play-by-play casters, and not all of their pairings, so some of you guys are gonna need to panel. It's like but nowadays it's like, all right, we're hiring this casting pair and this casting pair, and they're gonna cast the entire time, and we're gonna hire this host and these panelists, and they're gonna panel the entire time. So I think we're being a lot more strict on our roles. I think part of that is the fact we have dedicated panel people, but I think a bigger part of that is that these tournament organizers have people that are there working as employees that actually know about the talent scene and know what's going on and who should be where and stuff like that, instead of just kind of like, you're popular, what do you do again? You're the host now. So
you're telling me Avo gets 1 new job and suddenly the con's up for everybody?
I think Shane, Avo, I think ESL is usually relative, like they have enough staff usually that they're usually tied into the mix. There was some problems in that maybe like a couple years ago or something, some of the DPC or whatever, but I think now like Shane's pretty tied into Dota, Avo's tied into Dota, Richie is tied in with ePulse, Avo used to be tied in with ePulse, stuff like that. So yeah.
Do we need to go back far enough to like, does anybody care if we talk about Dream League? It's been a minute. I was going back and I was like listening to the last episode and being like, where did we leave off? And I'm like, oh, my hair's shorter.
I think there are probably just like a couple of, I mean, yeah, nobody really cares about Dream League, but at this point in time, I was trying to think if there's anything notable that really happened at Dream League. There was one thing that was kind of funny that happened. There was we had a climate change protest happen at our hotel that we were staying at, because they were hosting some sort of conference for I think it was a government conference with energy people, aka the oil industry, and so there was a protest outside of a hotel. But yes, there were some protesters that did get inside of the hotel. And I don't know if Greta Thunberg was there or not, but she definitely tweeted about it. So one of those days we go out, the lobby is packed. It is like full packed full of people, most of them looking very rich and in suits, and then occasionally there would be like some sort of scuffle, as yes, there would be a protester who would get in, they'd get drug out by the police, and then we go to our shuttle, and Jenkins was late to the shuttle by like 10 minutes or something like that. And he finally gets there. But in that 10-minute window that we were supposed to leave, the protesters have then blocked the parking lot.
Oh, no.
And they kept forming a chain to block off the parking lot. And we're trying to get out. And their purpose, I guess, is to not let people in. I'm not sure why they would want to keep people from getting out of the hotel, because you'd be getting away from the energy summit or whatever. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they were blocking that out, and the police kept on like grabbing people and taking them away, and then other people would sit down and they would just chain it. It was pretty entertaining. But yeah, there was a lot of angry people. And we were just there to talk about some video games.
Yeah, you were like, "Hey, everybody, we also hate oil, but we have to go talk about Dota." That wasn't working on the.
No, I mean, I could have told them that I was about to go work for Saudi Arabia, but that might have made him angry. I don't think Greta Thunberg would have approved on that.
Dude. I have a crazy I was thinking about something today because I was in the shower and I was washing myself, and I was like lathering up, and I was going Gene and because that fucking song has ruined the last week and a half of my life. Yeah. I think sports washing works.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. Especially when the community is like pretty fed up with the quality of events, which will probably lead into us talking about Bali. But yeah, if you're fed up with the quality of the events going on, and then there's production wise a very nice product, people very quickly stop caring.
Man,
it's pretty funny how quickly people change their tune when there's no stakes involved outside of just the free product that you consume being a little bit higher quality.
You're like, wow, there's not any audio errors. You're like, this is just better. Man, you spent a little bit more time in Bali than I did on the front end and the back end, but we were both there, and man, I had to explain to people at work that like, oh man, we gotta stay at the nice hotel because there's like armed guards at the front, so you gotta like stay there to let it and do the content. And I had like a conflicting time at our hotel in Bali for like this, like I'm gonna complain about a couple first world problems on the show. Mm-hmm. This is the first of more than one. I was really creeped out by how nice everybody was to me all the time.
Yeah, the Southeast Asia sea hospitality and Arabic hospitality are pretty above and beyond, to a point that yes, it does get annoying. Like, no, please just leave me alone. I don't want anything. I don't need anything. I just want to be left alone.
I've never stayed somewhere that did like room service routinely 3 times a day. And
like cleaning your room?
Yeah, like cleaning your room. Hey, do you want any water? Like walking through the halls, and everybody's like, "Hi, how are you doing? I hope your day's going good." I was like, put my earphones in and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to the beach and be grumpy about it."
Yeah, people always talk about like American small talk and like how obnoxious it is. Like all I could think about in those situations is like, man, the Europeans must be going crazy here. Because all I hear them complain about is like, oh, American small talk and like how they're fake nice to you all the time. And I'm just like, this doesn't even compare.
The very first day we were in Bali was fun because it was a break day, so we just like got to swim and have daiquiris and be by the bar. I don't think any of us went in the ocean, so nobody got like needed lifeguard help like Beast Coast. But
yeah, when there is a beach. Mm-hmm. And they have flags, do pay attention to those flags. They are important. The ocean will kill you.
Man, I saw that story and I was like, wow, I didn't know about that. Oh, boy. The whole thing was wild because, so, like, we were at essentially a vacation resort. And I think it was kind of a slow time for the resort, which is probably why they were able to get so many rooms and have so much stuff going on. There were a lot of like weddings going on. There were definitely like a lot of couples who were there on like honeymoons and vacations, and a lot of people, which makes sense, from Australia. But it felt like a little bit empty, which was nice because it was just like these Dota buffoons had the run of the resort. And like in one area it was like all the production and all the scrim rooms, and the other areas like where most everybody was staying, and there were pools and more debauchery. It was kind of cool to go to a tournament and not just like go from the hotel to the venue and the hotel to the venue and just like do work all the time. There was much more of a focus on, oh, the venue is our hotel and the hotel is really cool and like we're gonna kind of party a little bit.
Yeah, that was for you guys. The talents, in order to get our full day rate, had to get shuffled off to a different hotel that was outside of the Ayana like compound. It was still a perfectly nice hotel. It was just not crazy rich resort levels. But yeah, that tournament was pretty insane from like a life quality for talent and players there. The production was terrible, but you know, everybody who attended the event as a player or talent or, you know, whatever in between it was a pretty nice event to go to. That's for sure.
It's going to be one of those things that we just talk about for a long time. Like, man, like, dude, we should have another event in Bali. Maybe not for the production. I don't know how many stories or things have like fully come out about it. I'm not here to dox, you know, all the issues. I've heard
I'll talk about it. All right, so we first day we show up and we're still supposed to do some rehearsals, and they have this very, very nice. They have an outdoor panel. Right, beautiful. That was the intention. If you watch the start of Bali, you got a chance to be able to see the outdoor panel. It was relatively nice. The background of, you know, the set was gorgeous because it was on a rooftop of one of these hotel buildings, and so you got this beautiful view of all these trees and a little bit of ocean in the background, and the sun was gonna set. Everything. It was very, very nice. And it looked all very nice, but the structure around the set was not particularly large, as in it wouldn't block off very much sun as the sun moved around in the sky, because it does that. It does hit you at different angles.
As the Earth like rotates.
Yeah,
okay.
It does this rotating thing. And actually, from our perspective, the sun moves. But it's actually we're moving around the sun. It's kind of trippy, but yeah, it does
PPD
mean
told
effectively.
Me the Earth was flat.
No, not true. Not true. Actually a sphere. So it didn't have the best, but it would have been fine. I think for sun and stuff like that. maybe you'd have to like bring some sunscreen to make sure that when you're sitting on panel, there are some angles where you might get some sun on you. But rain would be a bigger problem there. But fortunately, we were told it wouldn't rain. Now, of course, you and I, Joey, did go to Bali after Singapore, which not quite the same season that we were there, but a similar time of the year. Yeah, not too bad. Would you say it rained much while we were there?
I would call it sporadically often.
Yeah,
it's like an island, kind of close to the equator in a season where I think they call it like monsoons or monsoon adjacent. Like the weather changed on a dime.
Yeah, we're effectively there during like the winter season. So to hear that it wasn't going to rain at all was surprising to me. But apparently the hotel, who was a sponsor of the event and would be incentivized to have a good event, the hotel assured the tournament organizer, who then assured us that there would be no rain.
I'm sorry, let me stop you for a second. The hotel that controls the weather?
Yes. This hotel assured us that there would be no rain during the rainy season of Bali, because they had actually spent money to make sure there would be no rain, because they invested in our rain shaman. Yes.
No, hold on, gotta give me a second.
They invested in a rain shaman to ensure that there would be no rain during the event.
I don't want to.
So that was even more surprising to me than the fact that there would be no rain, because I didn't realize that rain shamans were still trusted in the 20th century or 21st century. So the fact that a very expensive resort had entrusted their event in the hands of a con man was surprising to me. But, I try not to judge too much.
Did you meet the rain shaman?
No, sadly, no.
Oh man, you could have got a selfie with him.
I would have loved to meet that person, but I believe he if I had to guess, I don't think rain shamans stick around very long after they've been hired. I assume that they do their business and then they get out pretty quickly. So I don't think he stuck around to see the results of his work.
I've never seen a call sheet with a rain shaman on it before.
Yeah, you might not ever again, because would you believe it, Joey?
What?
The rain shaman did not stop the rain on day 2 of the group stage. He couldn't even keep it away for a full 24 hours. It was sunny for rehearsal. The day started off sunny, but God bless him. He tried. He tried his best. But his best was not good enough, because it rained, Joey, and it rained a lot.
I have some questions. Do you fire the rain shaman?
No, if I had to guess, the rain shaman business is probably a cash up front deal. I don't think there's a half now, half later after.
Half on delivery of sun.
No, I don't. I think that business is probably.
Do you think the rain shaman? I'm so caught up on this. Do you think the rain shaman believes their own hype? Like, do you think the rain shaman is self-aware that they're kind of a con person? Or do you think that they are so into it that they actually believe they're a rain shaman? Because I can kind of see both, like a grifter situation or like a devout in some way situation. I wonder I wonder what the truth is for people in that position.
Yeah, it could be that I thought about this quite a bit, actually. As you would imagine, learning that a rain shaman was hired for an event did occupy my thoughts for quite some time. And I did really think about it. Now, I think most rain shamans are probably grifters and con men who, do their business. And then at some point in time, their reputation gets sullied because
it rains.
You
only call one if there's everything is working against them. You don't call a rain shaman in Death Valley in the middle of July, right?
I mean that is kind of my guess, is that it is the rain shaman supposed to, is his usual business to bring rain? And then this was like a special deal. He was like, oh, you need me to keep away the rain. Well, that's much harder. That's going to cost you twice as much. Maybe if he specializes in not having it rain, then maybe he usually works, the winter season is like his holiday season, and he really doesn't show up as much unless it's a really big deal. He only works during summer to keep the rain away. I'm not sure, but I do have to mention, if you are a true believer in what you're doing, I just imagine that the rain shaman thought that maybe there were other rain shamans involved. He did what he could, but there was 5 other rain shamans working against him to make the rain happen. So really, he should be telling them, well, you should have I was ill-equipped for the job. This is a 5-person job, and you only hired 1 guy. You cheaped out, and what do you expect? So
before you get back to
I've just been thinking about battling rain shamans for weeks now. That's all I've been thinking about.
Like you have to draft a rain shaman with better stats, or you need to have a harem of rain shaman. They're added, rain shamans are an additive property, and the more you have, the better it is.
Yeah, and do these rain shamans, are they specialists? Do some specialize in keeping the rain away? Do some of them specialize in having it rain? Is there a hail shaman? Is there a lightning shaman? Does he bring the thunderstorms? He brings the thunder.
Shakira brings the thunder.
Yeah.
Anecdotally, real quick, before you get back to why the little easy pop-up tent that was on the outside panel didn't work. Anecdotally, I was hanging out. I think it was maybe the day before Grand Finals. It was one of the final 3 days of the event, right? And we weren't playing. I went to the gym. I was just gonna go watch some Dota and relax. It might have even been after games. It doesn't matter. And there was a pool that was down by the ocean. So you can be in the pool. It was chlorinated and the perfect temperature. There's no riptides, and you can just look out and be holy shit, we're kind of in paradise. It was objectively really cool and nice, right? And I'm I'm just gonna go down here and I'm gonna watch some Dota by the pool. It'll be cool. I get down there, I kick my feet up, I order a Mai Tai or something, and then the drink gets delivered to me, and the guy says, oh, by the way, you're going to want this umbrella. And then I go, why am I going to want the umbrella? The sky opens up, and I just watch everybody leave the pool, leave the area, because it is there's puddles forming around me. It must have rained an inch in an hour, and I'm just sitting there listening to you cast some stupid fucking game, not even on my earphones because nobody's around. I like the speaker is on by the pool. I'm just watching Dota, and everything is just soaked in the matter of minutes. And I was trapped out by the pool watching Dota, because the rain was just sporadic, because that's what it's like there. It can be sporadically crazy in an instant. It's part of the cycle. So I imagine if that happened to me on the pool when I had kind of like a safe setting and I was enjoying myself and I liked the rain, if you're probably in like a broadcast situation with, say, like a built tent that's outside to do a live broadcast with a bunch of, you know, expensive streaming gear and cameras and microphones and equipment, that potentially being in the middle of the monsoon is not good. Is that
probably not?
Okay.
I mean, you would know more about this than I would, but outdoor production in the rain, that doesn't sound super friendly.
No. Specialized gear normally. You don't want your talent who are like all in hair and makeup and stuff to get like wind blowing on them. It's bad for the audio. Stuff can short circuit, not like in a dangerous way, but in like a we want the broadcast to keep going way. But I mean, obviously they didn't care about the broadcast going down other times, but that's a different story. You know, I
apparently
heard...
the biggest issue was the signal for the wireless microphone setup. The signal was
a lot of electricity in the air.
Completely fucked whenever it would rain.
The water droplets, it's wild. Those things, like the water droplets. When the signal goes through them, when it goes through water, it just distorts the waves. So if it's raining enough and there's enough water in the air,
so
your
if there's
wireless
a sheet
devices,
of water between you and your receiver,
yeah, the water actually distorts the signal, which is really cool and not normally a problem you deal with, because normally you don't use that stuff in a downpour. I also heard I heard a rumor that people were scared to be under the tent because once it started to get windy, it was like a little bit sus. So
that okay, now that I think is an overreaction, but yes, there was apparently a loud crack coming from the tent system as the water built up in some way. I don't think anybody was in danger. I think people overreact.
The rain shaman was in danger of getting work again.
Yeah, the rain shaman is definitely being hunted down somewhere in Bali, but he probably just moved on to a different island. So but yes, that happened, and the outdoor set is completely ruined, and they managed to find a different spot to set up and did that within like 12 hours. So once again, this is twice now that Epulse has been in an event this year where their original setup did not work at all, and they had to tear it all down and put it back up in less than 24 hours, more like 12 to 9 hours. People had to stay up all night essentially to get a setup going. So this time around, it wasn't the casting desk. So, you know, I didn't give a fuck. I was in my hotel room that they set us up in the entire time. So my setup was the same from the start to the finish. All good.
I know how much of a bummer it is to look at the original set. Again, beautiful when it was working as projected. There's like a sunset. There's an ocean. And then they had to move to like an emptying wedding venue with whatever miscellaneous props, chairs, stuff they could steal from the hotel. And they're just like, wasn't enough lighting. So they went from outside in paradise to inside without proper lights. And I was like, oh boy, I know most people probably don't give a fuck about this, but I know that hurts. Oh
yeah, you pretty much could have been kind of anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in a hotel room. They were in an indoor setup that was not the most amazing. So yeah, that event from a production standpoint all the way up until the actual finals could have been anywhere, and it would have been the same, or if not better, probably. So that part isn't great, but
similar to Lima, similar to Lima, it's you don't have the option to just like run to the big electronics store with all the extra stuff you need. Like that is not just a quick car right away. In Bali, nothing is a quick car right away. everything is icky to go anywhere. But oh boy, there's like nothing they can do. They just have to work with what's on hand, which I think that's also part of the reason why they had issues with like the B stream and the C stream and like all the extra broadcasts that like just stopped working after the first day. They had to just truncate them to make one thing work.
Yeah. It's I mean, at this point in time, I don't know what to say. Epulse, they do a really good job with their CDPC. As far as I understand, the people that they usually work with for the CDPC were not the same people that they worked with for the remote broadcast, which I believe both times the Lima and Bali Major resulted in a production team getting fired midway through the event,
which is crazy. I cannot tell you, there's no way for me to describe how insane that is.
They're like, yeah, we're gonna fire the production team and we have to move everything on site. I'm like, wow, that sounds like a lot.
I heard, I think this is okay to say, because of the betting laws in Bali, or Indonesia, the broadcast actually had to go from Bali to Kuala Lumpur back in Malaysia and then get fed back to Bali. So also there were just some fun snafus with like people having seconds delayed audio in their ear and not being able to like switch cameras properly, and like small technical things that went to the broadcast also feeling a little bit more amateur. But it wasn't that like the people doing it were amateur necessarily, it's that everybody was working off like a second and a half delay.
Yeah, that's again 2 different times where I've been on a LAN and worked with a remote production, which is, I think, relatively rare. Most of the time, the people that I'm talking to, I can talk to on site. But yeah, that was another situation that, you know, it's like that meme about like, you know, if I had 5 cents for every single time, you know, this thing happened, I'd have a dime, which is not much, but it's kind of weird, you know.
So then, you know, group stage aside, everybody makes it through. Like, people are kind of enjoying some of the games. We get to the main event, and golly, it feels so weird to like kind of shit on some of this because they put on a tournament in Paradise, right? But the actual venue itself had some issues. Which,
yeah,
it was basically, there was like a field at the gates of the resort that they use. There was like a built-in amphitheater type stage, which is, you know, what the booths were on and what the whole tent was built around and where like most of the production was, right? And then they build a big tent around it. They have audience there. They put out the screens. I didn't really understand the audience situation, but what was interesting to me was that there obviously weren't a ton of tickets sold, but kind of by design. But I think the people who bought tickets and also traveled to Bali because the tickets were so fucking expensive had the disposable capital to not have to be at the event for every game they didn't want to be, right? Like, they were either at the resort, or maybe they realized their viewing experience was better in their room, or they were in Bali, or they were like around there. So I think that because the ticket prices were so expensive, it was mostly a crowd of affluent people, and they could be okay not being in the audience, which made the small audience look even smaller at times. On top of the viewing, and part of the reason to not be in the audience is that the viewing experience wasn't great.
Yeah, once again, there's this tricky thing where where the sun is in the sky changes according to different times of day. So even though you think the sun is above you and therefore this roof above your head will block out the sun, unfortunately, there are times of day where it's not actually directly above you, and it comes in, the sunlight comes in at an angle, and that is unfortunate for anybody who doesn't want to die of UV exposure and or wants to see the television screen with some kind of clarity. So
the umbrella major memes were really funny for the shots where the crowd just all had umbrellas.
Yeah.
One of my favorite at the end of the event, I was hanging out with Aries, bless his soul, one of my favorite chaps, and from sitting in the crowd with his badge on and his tank top, he had sunburnt into the back of his neck his lanyard from sitting in the crowd, sitting still in the crowd, which was really funny. You know, I got a pet peeve. This one feels like a small one on top of everything else, which is, kind of some version of air to egregious. When you are watching a Dota event, when you are setting up a screen at a Dota event, you really shouldn't block the mini-map with your boosts or stage design or anything, because I'm sitting in the audience and I'm like in front of the big screen, but you just can't see the mini-map. So you gotta like look at the smaller screen off to the side, and now you're playing this game almost like you're playing Dota, where you're like, okay, I can read this information here, but this is what I want to look at, and this is better for the kill speed. And it's like you're watching a tennis match because your head's ping-ponging all over the place. But in the grand scheme of things, that complaint feels small compared to having the sun wash out the monitors a couple times.
Yeah, when you straight up just can't like see half the screen because of the glare. I mean, that is one of the most upvoted posts of this month. 3,000 upvotes. Paid premium just to watch half the screen. I never went to the venue because
it was hard to get to.
Why would I do that? It's not the easiest to get to. It's not the worst to get to. You just like have to wait for a shuttle, and it goes out there, and it's like a 5-minute drive. But it's just like, why would I do that when I could spend the entire time at this luxury hotel? Like, why? The only reason I ever went to the venue was because they wanted to take a group photo at the end, which I was so tempted to skip out on. But I was like, you know what? I'm a team player, whatever. They pay my day rate. They want me there for a photo. I'll go there for the photo. So I went there after the tournament was done, as everybody was leaving the event is when I got there. And yeah, I mean, it was kind of nice. Like walking in that evening when the sun was down, it did look really cool. I will say that it was very nice. But I didn't go there when the sun was out. I didn't go there when it was raining. I actually don't think it rained during the period of time that the finals were, like, as in when the venue was in
There
use.
was some rain at night, like the first day, I know, because we had to walk out with umbrellas, but like most of the rain did not happen during the finals.
See, that's what I think the Rain Shaman probably tried to sell them at that point in time. He's like, I got no rain during the important part for you guys. Because if it rained then, half the audience wasn't even covered. So, there was just going to be a bit of a shit show. But for the main venue to be in use, it didn't rain much. I will give it to him. Or her. Rain Shaman is an equal opportunity job.
It was windy. And the way the tarps were set up, the temporary tenting was set up, is that like if the wind gusted too hard, it would make like really fun knocking noises, and you'd go like, is that good? And also, if someone was paying attention really closely, there were a bunch of like prop rocks, fake rocks, kind of put around the booths for set decorations, but they were basically made out of styrofoam, so the wind kept on blowing the rocks all around the stage, and it was somebody's job on the stage to like get the rocks back into place. And during the game, people would be watching, and then on stage there would just be somebody who's like moving the rock. The bathroom situation was wild and fun. It was more akin to a festival than any other event we've been to. They had a special set of porta potties for like teams, crew, production, anybody who was backstage, and they had 2 men who were back there full time to clean the porta potty after every use. The
All right.
Good bathroom service. Some of the only air-conditioned places were like in the back, which was good because it was fucking hot. My body's not built for that. But man, the event itself. Let me complain about another first world problem thing. I got another first world problem for you. Do you know how mentally exhausting it is to consistently get second place?
I don't think you do either, though.
I'm being I have a lot of people telling me about it.
Yes. Yeah. Liquid gets second again. I will say that I don't think there's any esport out there that is harsher to get second place in. I will say it is incredible how much the community has hated the success of Gaming Gladiators and Team Liquid. I feel like other esports scenes would have been like, oh, this is a fun rivalry going on, and like we get to see, can Liquid do it this time? Like, I feel like there'd be a story there, but Dota community is ruthless, man. They're just like, I hope you fucking fail. Give someone else a shot at Gaming Gladiators, please. You guys suck. Even though they go through a competition to prove that they deserve to be there. Even though there is an entire competition with a group stage and a playoffs that you have to play through to see who's good enough to play the best team in the grand finals. And Team Liquid won that part of the tournament every single time. They were always the best team to face the other best team. So it's incredible how much the community absolutely shits on them for being the best team to face up against the other best team.
From the lower bracket.
Quite impressive.
From the lower bracket every time. So not only did they prove themselves, they proved themselves extra. They played more games than everybody else.
Yeah, I don't know. The Tundra community it's gone crazy, man. I'm not just saying because the Liquid thing or the Game of Gladiators thing. I understand people's hate toward Quinn right now. I think Quinn griefing games is shitty. I've told him as much. I've reported him in my games. He's still my friend. I still like him a lot as a person. I'm friends with Liquid. It sucks that they keep on getting second. But, so I will note that I have personal ties here. But I feel like this is just one symptom of many other things with the Dota community that are incredibly negative to a point of being an unenjoyable community to be a part of. I will say there are some great memes that has come out of this one. By far my favorite is the Liquid and the horse shaped into a 2, and then the other one being Team Liquid being the best lovers of all time because they consistently come second. Those two great memes, but that's like 10% like memes and then 90% like people seriously aggressively being dicks. It's like, I don't know, man.
I think it's extra worse because they're both Western European teams. The amount the amount of like post Riyadh comments I was reading of people going like, guys, the viewership was so high because Gaiman wasn't in the finals. Fucking did you see those numbers? They popped the fuck off because Quinn died. And I'm like, what are you talking about? You couldn't watch on Dota TV and the time zone was better and the event was getting a lot of hype. That's why more people were watching. And they're like, no, it's because of these teams. Dude.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't because of those teams, because it's not like Team Spirit does. Like, Team Spirit has a fan base, to be sure, but they don't have the same kind of fan base that, say, Nigma Galaxy. If they were in the grand finals, now that's a fucking, then you could look at the viewership and be like, holy shit, you know, like these are not the most popular. Well, Team Liquid kind of is, but these are not the most popular orgs that bring in the extra viewership, you know? So I mean, I do think it definitely made the finals more interesting to have interregionals, and I think we have been spoiled in Dota to have a thriving international interregional competition that has consistently, made it so there are different regions in the top 4. But yeah, I don't know, man. It was intense, and the funny thing is people get mad at the winners, but I don't see them getting mad at the losers. Like, you should be getting mad at fucking, like Talon, like get better, get in the grand finals already. You should be getting mad at Bet Boom. Oh, I can finally say their name again. You get mad at Bet Boom. They're supposed to be like the best team in the world based off of their talent. They still are dog shit. Get mad at PSG LGD or fucking who fucking Azure Ray. Like get mad at the fucking Chinese teams. Why aren't you up there?
Get mad at Shopify. Oh, they already are.
Get mad at EG. Yeah, get mad at Shopify. Like
they really are already. It's fine.
Yeah. It's, I mean, they do. People at this point in time have accepted Shopify's mediocrity. I think people have lost hope that they're ever going to be a top tier team, except for like the super hardcore fans. They're still there, but. Yeah, right. Like get mad at the teams that are like supposed to be good, like Shopify, like PSG LGD, and like just aren't making it there. EG, another example of a team that like should be up there but is failing right now. But people don't get mad at them. EG gets knocked out in the fucking group stage when they're supposed to be like a top 8 team easily, probably a top 4 team. They did it last major, they did it at Berlin, and nobody gets mad at them.
I have a theory on that, not to get too serious. I don't think we see any EG fans like on Reddit or too many like public forums, because the people who really were EG fans by and large are all Shopify fans because they were a fan of that team, and now EG's fan base is predominantly speaking Portuguese, if they exist at all.
Oh yeah, for sure. Those fans are on Facebook and stuff. Yeah,
we're not seeing any EG fans, which is weird. Yeah, get mad at PSG, get mad at Bet Boom. Get mad at everybody else. Don't get mad at Game and Gladiators for being the best. Fucking bullshit.
Like it's so weird. Like people like, because Quinn is on that team, people have like taken the opportunity to like, finally I have a reason to shit on them, because like I feel like a lot of them are just like, I'm mad that they're making my grand finals boring. And I want a reason to be mad at them. And then the Quinn stuff broke out. And then there's, I think, a lot of bandwagon haters, basically. Because the rest of the team is, like, very inoffensive. In fact, they're all very exceptionally nice people. So it's like, finally there was a lightning rod to give you a reason to really hate Gaming Gladiators.
Dude. I mean, I hate them.
Yeah. Honestly, the best thing their brand did was not make it to the grand finals of Riyadh.
Dude. Oh, man. It was... After losing game 1 in Bali, when walking into that grand finals, I think there was like an air of like, got this. Like winning game 1 for the most part, being like, it's kind of good, feel good. Coming back from the pause, getting team wiped, and then losing again, and then losing some more. Really shit day. really shit day, man.
Yeah, Liquid has gotten really good at giving you just a little bit of hope. They made it to the grand finals again. They won a game. Maybe they can keep doing. No, they can't. No, they just can't.
Man.
And wait, we got to talk about the other little bit of drama.
What's the other little bit of drama?
Well, I mean, there were so many problems with being able to watch at the venue and stuff like that. There were some people who legitimately chose to watch the stream back at the hotel, including some players. Some players also were watching the games on a stream in their hotel room. In fact, one of those players was watching the stream while they were playing the game, which is new. That's fun.
Dude, I can't believe. I'm like, what drama are you talking about? What the fuck was there going on? Man, I have yet to understand anybody who is a pure apologist and anybody who was advocating for this being a non-issue. I think that everybody who was arguing that was either an idiot or doing it in intentionally bad faith.
Yeah, it's pretty simple, guys. Just don't turn on the stream of the game that you're playing.
But Austin, it
you
was
can,
on.
You can literally watch like Fortnite instead if you need to.
It was on in the background. It was on mute. It was on mute. He tapped to it
so
for
incredibly
a
easy
second.
not to break the rules and to not put yourself in a position of potentially cheating. It is amazingly easy to do that. You actually have to go out of your way and try to put yourself in a position to be accused of cheating. So
And then it had to be pure. It had to be pure. Like, he already has basically zero goodwill from a large swath of people. So you get somebody who is one of the most notorious people in Dota for bad career-altering decisions, who has gotten a second or third lease on life at this point, and then he is the person who has a stream open. Like, does he put his socks on the right way? Like, what does he feel bulletproof? Does he get it? Does he not get it? Is he malicious? Is he like just oblivious? Who is this person?
Okay. I am fairly confident in this assessment, and this is going to be a harsh assessment. Pure, if you ever hear this, I'm sorry, but I think he's just dumb. I think he's a great Dota player. Very talented. I think he's just dumb. And again, Pure, if you're listening to this,
I like that you're
you feel offended by that. Maybe you should be a little offended by that. But honestly, better to be dumb than the other thing, because that is all. It's one or the other at this point in time. It's one or the other. You're either malicious or you're dumb. So you should just take dumb. Yeah.
I'd rather be dumb.
And everything that and the thing is, I've heard, like GPK, for example, who I know a lot of people hate on him because pub behavior and stuff like that. And I don't, let me just say, I have to do this a lot right now. I don't approve of that behavior, but people are complicated, and just because they act that way in pubs doesn't mean that they're terrible human beings. It means that they are complicated. They have a bad side to them. We all probably have bad sides to us. That's his. GPK there was an interaction that I heard about that basically he was like, man, I feel really bad for Pure. I don't want him to get shit on too much because he's a good kid. And I am inclined to believe that. I mean, it is his teammate. He's going to try and back him up and stuff like that. But this was like a private interaction. This wasn't like a public, like forum sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And it did seem genuine, apparently. So I do legitimately think that Pure is just dumb. I don't think he thinks things through. And he's done some dumb things that have been very, very unfortunate that he has done the dumb thing in such a public fashion. And something that in two different ways were like fucking third rails for your fucking career, Like, The fact that this guy still has a career after that is just sheer fucking goodwill and luck. You know, like if anybody thought that the Z thing was malicious or that the fucking stream thing was malicious, then you would not have a career. And this guy is a very good Dota player, and he could make a life-changing amount of money. Probably already has made a decent amount of life-changing money between his salary and his prize winnings, which is up to $300,000. That's more than I make in a year, for sure. So, yeah, like this guy's career is promising. He is still having a career based off of goodwill and luck at this point in time. So... yeah, I think he's dumb because I don't think he's mean-spirited. I don't think he's trying to cheat. That was obviously not the case with the stream thing. I think it's, you know, like relatively clear that like the Z thing wasn't an intentional, like, you know, fuck Ukraine sort of thing. So, yeah, this dude, if this kid goes on to win TI, it'll just be like you shouldn't exist. Like that should you have no idea how lucky you are. You tried so many times. You shot yourself in the foot twice. You shot yourself in the foot twice and then somehow won a fucking sprint or a marathon. You know, like it's incredible if that happens. You know, if Bet Boom win this TI, like, oh my God, what the fuck?
Was it frustrating for you how mixed the internet discourse was about that?
Let me just say, you can immediately pinpoint the people who have never had a real job in their lives on the internet when I saw so many times. Well, the break went on an hour. What was he supposed to do for it? Sit there, motherfucker. Sit there and do absolutely fucking nothing. Sit there, don't move, don't breathe. Hour? Just fucking sit there for an hour. You know how much you're getting paid an hour? Just fucking sit there. You can do that. I've stood there for long amounts of time, not moving. You won't die, I promise you. I did it for very, very little money. Getting abused the entire time. Just standing there in the fucking sun, sweating my ass off, just trying not to faint. You can sit in an air-conditioned room and do nothing. I promise it's possible. These people who are like trying to defend it by like the break, like it's maddening to potentially not be able to, your fucking Zoomer brains can't handle not being fucking entertained, not having a puppet show in front of you for a fucking hour. Give me a fucking break. You obviously have never had a real fucking job in your life. If you're complaining of this guy has to sit there and do nothing there are people out there who would love for their job to be sitting there doing nothing because the alternative is them working their fucking ass off. They would love to be sitting there for an hour doing nothing. So yes, you can sit there and do nothing. You don't have to be on the stream. The hour break is not killing you. I promise it's not.
Man, Tundra really made out good that event.
Yeah, they got third place off of that. Somehow they went from being lower bracket against Azure Ray, who they would have had to play Azure Ray, and then PSG LGD, and then Quest. But instead, they went into the upper bracket, beat Liquid somehow.
Don't even get me started.
with a stand-in, weird situation. They have a stand-in because
those fucking vicious birds on fucking Radiant bottom and by the tower that can just pull a creep wave and do nothing. It's bullshit.
The funny part is, I really do believe that like AUI had an impact on like the developing meta towards the end of that tournament and Riyadh and probably TI. I'm not saying that he is innovating all of this. 33 is like very good about using his courier and stuff like that, but I do think he brought at least one more fucking wrinkle to the be as annoying on the map as possible with the way he played Visage and Enchantress and all these sorts of things. And people now see just how effective you can be on a bigger map. So,
yeah,
pretty cool.
They got third. They killed us.
Yeah, they fucking get that they get all the way top 3 off of beating Liquid, getting a def win, beating Liquid, and then just get like 2-0'd out of the tournament. But who the fuck cares? They got top 3 with a stand-in. So let me just say that is another thing. The stand-in things are kind of ruining our final day of majors and stuff.
How
happen
so?
at Lena, happen at Bali.
Yeah,
like it's unfortunate because you're just like, well, at least one of these series is like whatever. Like we got to cast the stand-in. We casted the Lima Major finals, the stand-in major. That was us, and then we did the lower bracket finals of Bali Major, which was stand-in.
The games were very different than the upper bracket games versus Liquid.
Yeah, I mean, at least the story was more interesting. You could at least make believe because, well, you could actually believe it. They managed to 2-0 the first time, so it's like, oh, this could be competitive. It wasn't, but you know, it was possible.
I don't know, man. And on stage at Lima, after every win, they had like air cannons that just went off at random times. Scared the shit out of me a bunch. You know what was one of the best things to come out of Lima? We made a successful vlog for the Liquid channel that actually got traction on YouTube into the Dota community and circulated in a way that like not all the stuff I've been doing for YouTube has been hitting. So from like a business perspective, my trip out there, pretty good.
Because you had shirtless Team Liquid players on the front.
I'm telling Boxy that the whole reason that it's doing well is because if you look at the Team Liquid Dota channel, if you see the thumbnail, it's got his nipple on it.
Yeah. Sex sells.
Sex
for
sells.
Sure.
And Boxy, that guy's got something.
And I mean, it probably also helps that the visuals of, you know, a Dota team being in a pool and outside and stuff like that's way more interesting than most tournaments, I would say. So
I think so. I think that all in all, Bali was a mixed bag, fair production complaints, funny snafus, shitty results. But you know, we got to go hang out in paradise for a little bit.
I had a great time. I'll never complain about that event from a personal standpoint. There was at least 1 or 2 days that I would go and I would go swimming in the outdoor pool and then and dry off and then stroll into my casting room 2 minutes away. You know, that was pretty sweet.
You're like, hair makeup, please.
I didn't even ask for makeup. I was just like, they're gonna see me from this far away screen for like 10 seconds. Don't need makeup.
Well, I think we still got to talk about Riyadh, which is a whole different can of worms. But we've been going for minutes. We should probably take the knife and just fucking machete.
Well, I gotta go to bed.
Yeah.
I'm
We should machete the conversation.
Yeah, we'll talk about Riyadh and all of the fun controversy. We can talk about the controversy around Riyadh and how the event was.
There was a controversy?
Oh yeah, we'll be talking about Team Liquid next episode.
I should figure out how I can fucking talk about that.
Yeah. You figure that out, because you know, I'll have some things to say.
Okay, well,
it'll be fun.
Okay, I'll figure that out. And in the meantime, everybody else can wait for that conversation. You get some sleep, Mr. Jetlag Boy. We'll be back at you soon to hit with the Riyadh and deuces.